All right, what is going on, everyone? Back with another Grand Archive product opening. Again, like I mentioned in the booster box opening, not sure which is going to go out first, this video with the intro decks or the box opening. But I will say once again, the booster box we opened and the starter decks were won over on a contest over on Silvy.org, which is a great website and resource if you are getting into Grand Archive. They have a pack simulator, collection tracker, and deck builder, all available and all free to use. So be sure to go check them out and give them some support, because they are a tool that is very widely used if you are anywhere in the Grand Archive space. So yeah, I think I'm going to quickly just kind of open up one of each of the three starter decks currently available, and will also be the ones available when FTC comes out. We're not going to get any new, as far as I know, we aren't going to get any brand new starter decks with FTC. We're just going to get kind of a rerun of, I believe, these decks and the Dawn of Ashes reprint as well. So, yeah, so these are the three starter decks available. As you can see, we have one of kind of the three really main, jeez, I'm blanking now. This is why I don't try to do a lot of scripted stuff, but also I probably should have a better script sometimes. These are kind of some of the main three champions, as well as Xander here, and we'll talk about what this pack of cards is after we open up these. So these are three of the four champions that have access to one of the advanced elements. Now, if you're LGS, or if you even buy a case of starter decks, you get three of each of these starter decks, and you get three of these little 3-card booster packs. It's kind of a like an assassin jumpstart kit. This includes a copy of Xander Blinding Steel, and 2 other exclusive cards that we'll show off when we open this up. So yeah, so real quick, each of these decks, we have Silvy, Rai, and Lorraine. We'll kind of open these in left-right order, of course, starting with our meme girl, Silvy, Rai, and then we'll end with Lorraine. Now, each of these decks do feature a different base element of water, fire, and wind here, and then we do go into a Terra, Arcane, and Crux for their advanced element they have access to. So we'll kind of go over these again. Like I say in the box opening video, gorgeous package, nice, really soft. I love this matte soft touch, right? Box art is gorgeous. They're great. So we're gonna put Ryan Lorraine off to the side for now. Deck box is pretty straightforward. You've got the deck here, game website on the side, and then of course you get a card list. So this is a full 12 card and 60 card main deck. So you get 12 material deck cards and 60 main deck cards here. You get a full breakdown, and there are, like I said, a couple. You get 2 exclusive regalia items in the material items, rather, in the starter deck, along with the exclusive version of the level 3. And of course, you know, each one of these, you do get the chance to pull a CSR, so we can potentially get a CSR of the level 3. Why am I doing this? They're not out. All right, so let's go ahead and open this up. We got Silvy, which is of course our Tamer starter deck. Very basic packaging, but that's okay. These don't have to be super fancy. And then of course they come with a QR code with all the great Silvy faces at the bottom here. If you want to QR code for their quick start get started guide, if you want to watch more than just my video on the matter. So yeah, let's go ahead, get our little Knief here and see if we got lucky with the CSR. But regardless if we hit a CSR or not, this deck is perfect because it does contain 2 copies of Give Bath. And of course, we're opening Grand Archive product. That's all we're looking for, right? So to start with, we're going to go ahead and take our, looks like we did not hit on the CSR Silvy. So let's take a quick look at our material deck, and we'll set our main deck off to the side. So like I said, this deck is focused around Silvy. So we get our Silvy with the pack, our level 0 Water Spirit, our Silvy Wild Speaker, and our Silvy Loved by All. The Silvy lineage here, like I said, is different. These level 3 is different from what you get in the booster pack. So this one, Silvy lineage and animal and beast allies you control get +1 health and intercept. So your beast can start blocking for you. All right, well, let's go ahead and we'll put the lineage up here. And then let's take a look here. So you get a copy of Beastbond Boots, which gives our champion Spell Shroud until the end of turn by banishing it. We get a copy of Beastbond Ears, which gives our champion extra level as long as we control an animal beast ally, which is, of course, very, very important when we are playing a tamer, because we want to, at least when we're playing a Sylvie-style tamer, right? Because we do want to make sure we can use our big, strong beasts. Beastbond Paws. This is our first exclusive. This is Flute of Taming, which is tap, give your champion +1 level till end of turn, or target animal or beast ally gets your choice of +1 strength or +1 health. So that's pretty nice there. Again, that's our exclusive. So I'm going to put that with our exclusive level 3 up here. We get a copy of Lice Essence Amulet, a Melodious Flute, a Wind Resonance Bauble, and a copy of Seed of Nature, which is our other exclusive card in this starter deck. So, Seed of Nature is battlefield rested. On enter, your champion gets +2 level until end of turn. Then you can banish Seed of Nature to give your champion +2 level until end of turn another time. So, as you can see here, a lot of Sylvie's stuff is all built around us gaining level. So, we can go ahead and keep using our beasts. So, let's go ahead and get our material deck cards out of the way here, and we will take a look at the main deck. Now, in terms of balance, and we'll kind of talk about that as we go through all the decks, I feel like the Tamer deck is unfortunately the weaker one. The Rye and Lorraine have a great stepping stone to try to get into competitive builds. Both Fire, Rye, and Wind Lorraine are very meta competitive at the moment of recording. Of course, we're a few weeks off from FTC where things could drastically change. So Tamer needs a little help, but I do think all these decks are fun. And especially when you're looking to get in with the intro deck, pick a deck that looks interesting to you. So all right, so we get 1, 2, 3 copies of Blissful Calling. Let me get the deck box over here so I can kind of keep track of what we get. So we get 4 copies of Blissful Calling. Which the top 5 cards of your deck, you may reveal an animal card. I don't think we're not gonna bother reading every card in here. You kind of get the gist of it. So then we get 2 copies of Empowering Harmony, which again give our champion +2 level to end of turn, and it has Harmonize, which says if we've activated a melody card this turn, draw a card. Harmony and melody cards are kind of the other big thing with Tamers in mind. Now, of course, there is the Merlin deck that also uses Erupting Rhapsody as well, but kind of this is the other sub-theme of Tamers is the Harmonies and Melody type cards. We'll see some of those as well. We get 2 copies of Grey Wolf, 2 copies of Rebellious Bull, 2 copies of Scry the Skies, 4 copies of Smack with Flute. Once again, that great Sylvie art. We love Sylvie here at Crew 3. We got 1, 2, 3 copies of Song of Nurturing, 2 copies of Trusty Steed, 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of the Blue Slime. We get 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Deep Sea Beastbonder, 1, 2, 3 copies of Dewdrop Hairs, which is our floating memory card for the deck. Of course, floating memory very important. Freezing Hail, we get 3 copies of Freezing Hail, a card that definitely went up in playability with the change to Hero Champion Awakening when champions level up. So that is something, definitely a card to consider as the game kind of goes forward here in competitive season and when FTC comes out. We got 1, 2, 3 copies of Giant Tortoise. We got 1, 2 copies of Give Bath. So again, this deck is already a winner. We got some Give Baths. We have 1, 2 Lakeside Serpent, 1 Mist Resonance, 1, 2 Piper's Lullaby, which is our melody card to help with our harmony. We have 1, 2, 3 Revitalizing Cleanse, 1, 2, 3 Gaia's Songbird, 1, 2, 2 Invoke Dominance, 1, 2, 3, 4, or just 3, sorry, of the Meadow Bloom Dryad, and we get 3 Terracite and 1 Virtus Gaia's Roar. So you can see you get quite a mix of, this is a pretty good start where you get a lot of norm cards, but you also get a good mix of your base element cards, several rares, and then you get some of the advanced element as well. Again, the whole point of the Sylvie deck is to make sure that we can hit Pride for our creatures here, like Virtus Gaia's Roar, because if we don't hit that Pride 10, we can't make use of how big and bad creatures like Virtus here is. So let's go ahead and move on to our next deck with the Rai structure deck. And of course, Rai here is our Fire Mage, because we built around building up, what are the counters called? So I feel so bad, I forget the name of his counters. The Enlightened counters, and of course, we want to build up our Enlightened counters to get bigger spell effects and really pop off here. Kind of really like a lot of Storm decks, if you're familiar with Magic and things like that. Very, very combo focused is the Rai deck. Let me go ahead and get our box here, and let's open it and see if we got lucky with a Rai. Whoop. Bam. All right, now here's the thing. Rai, people would argue, is probably the best deck in the game right now. Now, of course, the Rain decks are very popular, things like that, and this deck is a bit of a glass cannon, but the Fire Rai decks are kind of argued as the best decks in the game. So if you're looking to get started, a good stepping stone to learning would be probably this Rai. But again, with FTC coming out soon, who knows where the meta will go. So we have our level 2. We have our Spirit of Fire, our level 1, and our exclusive Rai Storm Seer champion. Rai gets +1 level for each Arcane Element Mage spell and your banishment. So that is how we're building up our Enlightened, or levels for Enlightened counters here in the Rai deck. So again, whereas Sylvie wants to build up levels to go ahead and activate our Pride and creatures, of course, our levels help increase or cheapen some of our big impactful spells. For our material deck, we go ahead and have Crystal Power, Endura Scepter of Ignition, which I believe is our exclusive card, one of our exclusives. And this, we're going to go ahead and put that up there. Life Essence Amulet, Mana Limiter, Surveillance Stone, Tome of Knowledge, Water Resonance Bauble, and our Arcanist Prism. So there are our 2 exclusive material deck cards here with the champion, of course. So Arcanist Prism at the beginning of your recollection phase, put all cards from your memory on the bottom of your deck in any order, draw that many cards. And then remove a light encounter, tap to remove a light encounter where your champ deal 1 damage to target unit, activate this ability only at slow speed. So this card can probably pop off pretty well if you fill up that memory, and then you just get to start over your next turn with a whole bunch of cards in hand. Let's go ahead and collect up all of these extra material cards, and we will start digging through the main deck. So we're going to start off with 3 copies of Barrier Servant, 2 copies of Careful Study. Again, with that efficiency, this card costs less, equal to the level we have. 2 copies of Idle Thoughts, very meta-relevant cards. Already we're off to a good start here. Library Witches is a intercept ally with on death draw a card. We get a play set of those. We get 3 copies of Magus Disciple, 3 copies of Peer into Mana, which give us some Lighten counters. 1, 2, 3, 4 Scry the Skies. 1, 2, 3 Blitz Mages. 2 Creative Shock. Again, we talked about our booster box opening. A very, very meta-relevant card, so much so it's on the watch list. So getting 2 copies of this card, you're happy to a play set. You're doing pretty good there. 1, 2 copies of Cremation Ritual, also a very relevant card. 1 copy of Disintegrate. 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Fireball, kind of our big damage dealer here, because we deal 1 plus level 2 target unit. And of course, if you are in the game, right, unit could be champion or ally. So if you get big levels, this card can deal pretty high damage. We have 1, 2 copies of Flame Rune Swordsman, 1, 2, 3 copies of Focus Flames, 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Ignite the Soul, 1, 2 copies of Impassioned Tutor, 2 copies of Purge and Flame, 2 copies of our Wrath spell, Anger of the Skies, 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of our real game ender here, Arcane Blast, which deals 3 damage to target champion, which of course, the efficiency we can generally cast for pretty cheap, which we definitely need to, because of course this is an 11-drop spell. 1, 2, 3 copies of Arcane Disposition, 3 copies of Arcane Sight, 1 Power Overwhelming, and 1 Spell Shield Arcane. So, I think this deck, you're missing like you're not gonna have your full play set of Creative Shocks, and you don't have things like Increasing Dangers. But you do get like 1 Power Overwhelming. I think if you are looking to get started in competitive Grand Archive, this and Lorraine deck are going to be great starts, because even though like this deck isn't perfect, it's still a starter deck equivalent. Not an equivalent. It is a starter deck, right? You're not going to have the exact meta tier deck, but these decks do get you set up for success in at least learning how the actual meta decks play. So we're going to go ahead and open up our Lorraine starter deck here, and hopefully our last chance here of getting that sweet, sweet CSR money. Then we'll look at the exclusive Xander cards. And yeah, so here is our Lorraine deck along with our Getting Started card. So we're going to put that off to the side there. And let's see if we got lucky. Ooh. Really though, we gotta save this luck. We got some boxes of FTC coming in, and we're hoping to open one of those new Merlin CSRs, because that card looks gorgeous. All right, we get our level 2 Lorraine, pretty I'd say synonymous with the game. If you've looked at the game, you've seen this art a lot. Our level 0 Spirit of the Wind, level 1 Wandering Warrior, and Lorraine Crux Knight. All right, so we didn't get there. That's okay. We still have the Lorraine line here. And yeah, once again, similar to Fire Rye, Wind Lorraine is, again, one of the more dominant decks in the format. Definitely earlier on, it was, I would say, the dominant deck in the format, and now it's kind of going back and forth between Wind Lorraine, Fire Lorraine, and Fire Rye. Of course, these decks do play differently between the two Lorraine decks. This deck actually gets you, again, pretty started towards the actual builds of competitive Wind Lorraine. The Wind Lorraine decks work on a lot more of an ally and build up a field and kind of get in with your damage with Lorraine. Meanwhile, the Red Lorraine decks are kind of all about going for a big combo swing with their Lorraine after getting in for a little damage from the allies. So let's take a look at our material deck here. So we got Bauble of Abundance. Our first exclusive is a Clarent Sword of Peace. Remove ability countered from Clarent for the next 1 non-attack damage that will be dealt to each unit you control this turn. So we get a little bit of damage reduction here. A copy of Fire Resonance Bauble, Life Essence Amulet, Ornamental Greatsword, Sword of Seeking, Warrior's Longsword, and our other exclusive, a Prismatic Edge, and definitely a must-play card, must-own card for any Lorraine player. On enter, if each player reveals all cards in their memory, if Fire Element card was revealed this way, choose a unit and deal 3 damage to it. If a Water Element was revealed, draw a card. If a Wind Element was revealed, each opponent banishes a card at random from their memory with 3 damage and 1 durability. So, card is pretty good. So we're going to get all of our material deck cards out of the way, and we will get started and take a look at our main deck. All right, we go ahead and start off with 3 copies of Banner Knight. Give us our class bonus and level 2 requirements to give us our board +1 attack. It's pretty good. We get 1, 2, 3 copies of Crusader of Asa. We get 1, 2, 3 copies of Deflecting Edge. 4 copies of Steam Knight. 1, 2 copies of Honorable Vanguard, which is a creature with floating memory. 1, 2, 3 copies of Inspiring Call. We get 1, 2, 3 copies of Opening Cut. 1, 2, 3 copies of Savage Slash. 1, 2 copies of Sudden Steel. So you can kind of see the Lorraine deck here, because we're our warrior build, right? We're definitely trying to mix having a board here with some of these early, cheap, aggressive creatures with some big damage with some of our attack spells that you don't get to see in the Tamer deck or the Mage deck. So then we have 1, 2 copies of Training Session, 1, 2, 3 copies of Veteran Soldier, 1, 2, 3 copies of Weaponsmith, 1, 2 copies of Favorable Winds. 2 copies of Favorable Winds. 1 copy of Hurricane Sweep. That's definitely a card we don't want to skip over there. 1 copy of Phalanx Captain, which if we're going to play meta Win Lorraine, we're definitely going to want more copies of this card. 1, 2 copies of Reclaim, which is a nice little bounce spell with Floating Memory. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Swift Recruits. The fact that you get 4 copies of Swift Recruit is definitely good because you want to play 4 copies of this Intercepting Floating Memory card. You play it, get some damage in, or, of course, Intercept means you can block, then Floating Memory means it's got value for you in playing your materials. 1, 2 copies of Wind Cutter. Now, this the advanced package here is, I think, the real big draw of the deck again. But you do, like I said, you were going to play some of these Lorraine attack spells. You're going to play your Phalanx Captain. You're going to play your Swift Recruits. But here we get 1, 2 copies of Crux Sight. We get 1, 2 copies of Spirit Blade Ascension, letting us loop cards like our Drawn Blade, like our Sword of Avarice, making Pot of Greeds all the time. So getting 2 of these, that is a really good start here. 1 copy of Spirit Blade Dispersion. We get 3 copies of Ghost Strike. 3 copies of Spirit Blade Infusion, which of course used to be one of the key combo cards when playing Lorraine, since it used to work where you could level up to Awaken Your Hero. Your champion, that doesn't happen anymore. So this kind of playability went down a little bit after that rules change, but still a very solid card. Champion on hit, draw a card, awesome. Of course, you're just not casting it for free, really. Then you get 2 copies of Spirit's Blessing, which, hey, these do still wake up our champion, and we do get to draw a card, all at the cost of bouncing a Regalia we control to our owner's back to our material deck, which is fine, because usually we got a lot of swords that we can play for free or have some sick enter the battlefield abilities, so that is totally fine there. So this deck, kind of like I said, in the crossroads between where Lorraine wants to be. Win Lorraine, we definitely want to see less of these kind of attack spells and more cards like Swift Recruit and our Phalanx Captain. Meanwhile, if we want to switch over to playing Fire Lorraine, several of these picking up copies of cards like Honored Vanguard, definitely going to help. And then we have a lot of these good Crux cards here. So if you're going to look for picking up something more meta, I don't think you can go wrong with picking up either the Lorraine deck or the Rye deck to kind of get you started into the game. Obviously, right, these decks are going to require some upgrades, so definitely don't just pick these up and expect to be taking down your regionals with them. Whereas the Sylvie card, you're going to pick up just because you want to pick them all up, and we love Sylvie here, right? Sylvie's great, and hopefully Tamer gets some more support soon. Fire Rye, Win Lorraine, both these decks very good. Sylvie, just get it. These decks are very expensive, and especially if you buy all 3 of them, hopefully your LGS happens to still have, where did it go? There it is. Still have some of their assassin packs. Again, the store does you do get 3 of these with a purchase of a display. They come in the display. So let's take a quick look, because hopefully if your LGS has these and you buy 3 of the decks, you should be getting one of these, because they do give you an alternate Xander. This is Xander Blinding Steel, and you do get a copy of Caliburn of Silencing and Orb of Choking Fumes, which is this card's pretty good. I'll tell you that. When you banish it, your opponent costs 1 more to activate cards during your turn, and if you're an assassin, you can draw a card. And we know Regalia that draw cards are pretty strong, so that's kind of it. Again, each of these decks do come with an exclusive version of, well, not really a version of, comes with an alternate level 3 version of the 4 main advanced element champions, and then you get 2 exclusive regalia items with each of them. So if you can find them, be sure to pick them up if you're getting started. And yeah, I hope you all have fun, and I will talk to you all for more Grand Archive and, of course, Magic content here in the future. Talk to you later. Bye.